The mission today is to sharpen your swords and get you ready for battle. It's time to fine-tune your craft and make you the best in what you do. The mission is to equip you to help anyone purchase what they need. We'll share the best advice from the best in their industry. You'll be listening to a conversation you wish you had with the mentors you wish you had. Take what makes sense to you and makes you better in your career. You guys, Bruce Lee said it best. Absorb what is useful and discard what is not.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Commission Mission. I'm your host, Micah Henderson.
I'm Erik Gerace, and today we have an exciting episode for you. We are about midway through the season. We've had a lot of amazing guests on and some really awesome concepts. So today we thought we'd try and give you some nuts and bolts of what we do. The day-to-day that Micah and I put into our daily schedule, our daily practice to achieve the level of success and happiness and peace, love, and joy in our lives that we want.
I also like the you and me episodes, kind of decompress, a little less stressful. We get to hang out a little bit. I just had a thought listening to our intro. In the season finale, we need to have a live band in the studio playing the intro, but even more hyped up. I want like maybe even like a death metal, like sharpen your swords, something like that. But yeah, no, we're
trapeze artist.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a spectacle. But
you getting this, Jason? You getting this?
Yeah.
All right, man. Jason's our behind the scenes man, producer of the show.
So putting what you learn into practice is the whole point. Guest after guest talk about self-improvement, but there is no point to it if you take all this knowledge, you put it in a book, and you never apply it to your day-to-day.
Faith without works is dead. It's the same like knowledge. If you have all this knowledge and you don't apply it or use it,
what's the point?
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere. It's like if you had all the best leads in the world were sent to your email every day and you didn't pick up a phone and call them,
the leads.
They're useless, right? So it's how do you get over the obstacles that keep us from the success? What do we do? I remember, let me go back to old Erik, I call him. Old Erik.
I thought this was old Erik.
Yeah. Now
to young Erik.
This is really old Erik.
Old Erik.
Yeah. This is really old Erik.
Yeah.
But in my past, being right was really important, so I had to know the right things to do, the right way to do it. And if things went wrong, we had to know who to blame and how to fix it. And so moving from a blame to a responsibility where I was 100% responsible for reality, that completely changed a lot of how I did business now. It wasn't I looked for win-win-wins instead of win-loses, If I could win, that's all I cared about before. It wasn't what happened to you, whatever. If I got your money or got the sale, great for me. But now it's about relationship building. It's about looking at the long term. Yeah. It's about putting win-win-wins together. I was started out like my first break from a job, and I love my friend John England's a previous guest description of that as job is just over broke, right? So I had a lot of jobs. Some of them paid actually really well. I wasn't anywhere near broke, but yet I got tired of politics, office politics. I got tired of being
quality of life
passed over for promotions
further down
because of some relationship someone else had with somebody. So I decided to step out on my own, and contract sales was the first way I did it. And then I got into real estate wholesaling, and I loved wholesaling because I got to go look at houses. I got to use other people's money. It didn't cost me a dime to make an offer on a house and get it under contract. And then I would just sell those contracts to someone that did have the money for it, an investor or a fix and flip kind of guy. But what I realized really quickly in this job was it was win-lose. I had to make the sellers lose as much as possible in order for my investors to agree to pay my fee for a contract that they could get themselves.
But the only way that seller would agree to it is if they were in genuinely enough distress that was a good deal that you were proposing.
Yeah, and they use the nice word motivated.
Yeah.
It's a motivated seller.
No, they were distressed. They were stressed out. They needed that money.
There's different levels of motivation, but most of what that means, that nice spin that they're putting on it is like exactly what you said, distressed. It could be a divorce. It could be a death in the family, an inherited property, anything, any number of reasons why they're not in a good situation. And so what a wholesaler typically does is come in and offers a cash price to them, really quick close. But they need to get the price lower than anybody else could get it for, because there's no reason to pay a fee for it to you. If I could get that price under contract, you're going to charge me a fee on top of it. So you've got to get it lower than they can get it for themselves. So you're really beating up sellers. And a lot of times I would beat up, get a deal, and then I wouldn't be able to sell it to an investor. They wouldn't think it was good enough, or they just didn't want to pay my fee, whatever that was. So it was constantly win-lose. Most of the time I lost in that deals because I would get it under contract, but I wouldn't be able to sell it and sell the contract. And I met a gentleman that taught me this win-win-win philosophy, and I'm hoping to have him, or he was a guest on our show already, I think, or not. Mm-hmm. And he shared with me this win-win-win philosophy. And as we looked at that, we looked at lease purchases. And so think about the typical house buying process. If you go in and you want to buy a new house today, you have to have good credit, you have to have money for a down payment, and you have to have a lender that mm-hmm. will approve you for a loan in order to get that. Pretty strict criteria in this day and age. What we were able to look at was there's a big pool of people that don't meet those three criteria, mm-hmm. that they might meet two or three or one or two of the three, mm-hmm. but not all three.
A couple others are what they would call capacity, to your ability to repay. If you have a job for a long amount of time, that looks good. If you just change jobs, that's bad timing, that looks bad. But also, the collateral is property.
And self-employed looks bad because it's self-employed.
But they're going to look for 2 years of your taxes, and you're going to have to show that.
But what we realized was there was just a much larger pool of people that actually didn't meet all three. But they still, that didn't mean they didn't deserve or desire home ownership. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with sellers. There's some sellers out there that are going out on their own, trying to do for sale by owners and things like that to avoid having to pay realtor fees. And because there's either not enough equity in the house, or they may not have, whatever reason, they might have had a bad experience with realtors in the past and just don't like them. And so they're trying to avoid paying those fees, and they're selling it on their own. And we know that's not an easy process to step into something like that. And so what we realized was there was a way for us to create the win-win-win, right? So the seller needs to sell their house at the price that they want, and the purchaser of their house needs to buy it on terms. They can't get finance, so we need to create creative terms. So we came up with this lease purchase process where they'll lease the home for 2 to 3 years while they repair their credit, and then they'll purchase the home at agreed upon price. And we let the seller choose what that sales price was. So mm-hmm. they're getting their price. Now they're going to have to wait a little bit longer to get that price, but they're going to cover all their costs and put a little bit of extra money in their pocket every month during the lease process. So it's a win for them. They take away that pain, and we've created a win for someone that might have down payment, maybe not quite the credit score, and they can move into their house on a lease, and work towards purchasing the house and then close on the house at the end of the term. So when they are able to get financing. So it's a win for them. And then we created the win for ourselves by getting paid in the process. Yep. We upcharge the lease purchase people mm-hmm. A small percentage, and that's our fee.
But also at time of purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to the whole process of what you do, and I always try to look at things in the simplest terms, and it was always explained to me that you try to explain things in a simple way that even say you're talking to an 8th grader, they would understand. In the whole process of finding people to talk to, advertising, marketing, promoting yourself, to initial meetings with people, to sitting down, understand what they're looking for, delivering your proposal, going through putting your proposal in place if they give the thumbs up, all the way to servicing them after the deal is done. What would you say is your favorite part in that process that really excites you and makes you love what you do? I'll tell you, for me, it is prospecting and getting paid. But
yeah, see, I like the getting paid part. I think for me, I like solving problems. Uh-huh. So I don't like the, I know you're much better at than I am, is the cold calling aspect of prospecting.
Yeah.
You just have a knack for it. You're really good
If somebody ever told me, sell me this pen, I'd say, hey, you want to buy this pen? If they say no, next. I don't even care if you want to buy this pen. I have 500 people behind you. Somebody needs to write something down.
Yep.
Call me back if you need me. Here's my card. Do you want to buy this pen?
Yeah, that's just not my favorite thing to do.
It's not my favorite. I trick myself into liking. I'm like, who do I get to meet today? I get to make a friend today. I get to help a friend today.
I like talking to people that want to talk to me.
Yeah.
And so what we did, and again, this is about processes, right? So you have to market your business in order to succeed. You have to have incoming leads, no matter what business you're in order to succeed. And it has to be continuous, right?
And that goes back to
if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
So
that goes back to the advertising and marketing, right?
It wasn't something I can avoid. It wasn't something I couldn't prospect. I couldn't say, oh no, I don't like prospecting, so I'm not going to do it. I just had to figure out a way to do it without having to cold call. Mm-hmm. And having to limit the cold calls as much as possible, because that wasn't something I would do well or succeed at.
Or you can outsource it.
We started, you
but
can
not
do
at
that.
first. At first, it's tougher when you're starting an organization, a business.
It depends on what your starting capital is. If you have the capital to do it, great. Mm-hmm. I would recommend outsourcing as much as possible if you have the capital to do it.
What you don't like to do, or what you're not.
My favorite line is, if you have a problem that you can write a check for, you don't have a problem. Right? So
boom.
There. But if you can't write a check for it, then yes, you have to be creative. And so what I figured out was there was ways I could advertise Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and for free, and just put run a little notice up there. Hey, this is what we do. No credit, no bank financing, no problem.
Yep.
We can put you in a new home. Ask me how.
That's right.
Kind of thing. And so now I get constant leads from people that are interested.
And I've said it before, and I'm here I am saying it again. If you don't advertise or market or promote, or if you don't have name flow coming in, you don't have a business. You're just sitting down hoping somebody calls the wrong number and they're looking for what you sell. You don't have a business. So that, right at the beginning, start strong.
Yep. And the way I made that switch into starting strong and doing that, because I was pretty like corporate trained, right? So with corporations comes a lot of fear. You go, oh, don't talk to that guy. That's the VP. You got to be afraid of him. He could, it's all about respect and yes sirs and powers and that. And so when I needed to change from a fear mindset to
an abundance,
not just abundance, but just completely no fear. Like knowing that no matter what it is, I had to get really comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So I did have to start off making these calls until I was able to put a process in place to eliminate it. And the way I did that,
previous guest, let me just, while I'm thinking about it,
okay.
And I really liked it. Cody pointed out that your income is directly related to how uncomfortable you're willing to be, or how you are on average. And then the other way of saying it, from the other end, is everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I really like that one too.
Yeah,
as you were
exactly. And so using those two philosophies right there, I had to. So in my head, my voice in my head is always telling me what to worry and fear about. I was raised in a Catholic Greek-Irish family, so guilt and worry were like staples in our family.
One of the four food groups.
Yeah, and so it's my voice in my head is my voice, and it's constantly telling me, well, all the stuff to worry and freak out about and avoid, right? And so I said, I need to change that. I need to have it telling me how awesome things are going to be and how amazing things are going to be. And so I wrote out what my life vision was going to look like. And I wrote this like in the worst financial, mental situation I was probably in my life. And I wrote it like my life was amazing and the universe was acting in my favor. Everything I do touched the gold. It was like a King Midas type of thing. And I wrote it, and then I recorded myself reading it, and then I listened to it every single day. And then not just once a day, but anytime my brain started doing those thoughts
like
to me,
an affirmation,
I would put it in. And it was only about 6, 7, 8 minutes long, but it wasn't really an affirmation. It was me. It was the voice in my head that I could turn up really loud on a Walkman so it could overpower and drown out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in 1970. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I had Discman.
Oh, Walkman. That's awesome.
Highland Finance, helping you prepare for life. IRS takes your money, stock market risks your money, and inflation reduces the buying power. At Highland Finance, we believe you should feel confident in your future. Our proven track record helps our clients prepare for life. Call 850-359-5989.
But
we could bring out the boombox,
but I listen to it daily.
Change your perspective.
And it just, it changed my energy. And so, because one of the things I realized is when I'm like a science kind of logic kind of person, not the woo-woo chakra, got to balance this through this crystal. If that works for you, great. That's just not me, right? So I'm more of a logical science. I kind of see the science behind what's going on kind of thing. So for me, energy is everything. That's really easy for me to understand. Molecules, quarks, whatever you want to call it. I understand that. So I realized how energy works in nature and in science. And so I needed to start applying that in my life. And so I needed to change my energy. I needed to be a fountain of good energy that affected the things around me instead of reacting to the energy that was being sent to me, right? So, but my energy is changing every situation I'm in now. I'm not affected by the situation. I'm not responding or reacting to the... if you put something in boiling water, that boiling water is going to soften that carrot. It's going to, but if you are instead a coffee bean, you change the water. And do you want to be a carrot or do you want to be a coffee bean? There you go. And
and I'd say that in our friendship, you're absolutely a positive source.
Yeah, well,
of good energy.
You actually were there through this metamorphosis.
Yeah, no, when we
because you saw Angry Erik, Angry Erik, when I was blaming my son's mom. I was blaming the world. Everything was at fault.
But still
everything.
Kicking butt in college.
I was still doing good in school, but that was my only focus. Yeah. Like that was one of my superpowers is focus, and that's another thing too. Talking about superpowers, I'm not that I'm like a Marvel comics or anything like that. But
don't sell yourself short.
We have a salesman niche, we have a life niche, and salesman niche, life niche. There's three of them. The third one will come to me, but it's how we do everything. So.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
The way you sell something, the way you convince somebody of something, that's a superpower that you have.
You using enthusiasm.
And so for me, it's excitement. If you give me a product or an item, a service that just sings to my heart, lights me up, I totally believe in, and I think it could help and do good in the world, I could sell that to anybody.
And I think that applies to a lot of people.
But if you give me something I'm not feeling that great, then my superpower can work against me. I will refuse. I'll set myself up for failure. So being aware of how our superpowers are in these your life niche, your salesman niche, and then there's I can't remember, but mine. I'll explain the niches for me and how they work, and then I will kind of enlighten you on the others. So the other one, my life niche, is I'm an adapter. So what that means is. Let's say we had someone from MS-13, a gang member here, and we had some, high-level church official or something like that. I don't know. Just trying to figure out two people that would be like oil and water.
Opposite ends of a spectrum.
Right. I could hang out with the MS-13 guy and be like friends and family and get the information I need from him to be able to hang out with the church person and give that information. So I'm like an adapter that makes the two things work, right?
A face tat and rosaries
at
the same time.
So I can just kind of like they used to call me a chameleon when I was younger, that I could blend in with any group I was in and just kind of fit in with it. But really what it was I didn't judge them, and they felt that. And so, and I didn't use fear in those situations. I just tried to understand people. And so being an adapter, knowing that, when there's conflict between two people that aren't getting along, I can plug me in the middle of that sometimes and get resolution. So it's starting to look for those kind of things in your life. But once you specify what niches that you're good at, then you can kind of arrange your life around that too. Another thing was, and through all this that came to me, was a calendar, right? So when I was back in corporate, young old Erik, I used a organizer. And it had to write down everything. It had a calendar, every page, appointments on every date. And if it wasn't in that organizer, boy, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
And if I
now
lost
Rolodex don't exist.
And if I lost that organizer, my life was over, right? So after I left job and went out on my own, that was like my first thing. I just avoided. I'm no calendars. I'm not going to plan anything. I'm not going to be a slave to that anymore. And then recently, about a year or so ago, I started taking on a lot. I started having to keep all these plans in my head, and it was becoming overwhelming. So I figured out a way that instead of being a slave to my calendar, that I make my calendar a slave to me. And I started using a digital calendar, Google Calendar, and I started blocking time. So every day between 10 and 12, that's my lunch period. No appointments can be booked at that time. I have my 7 to 8 a.m. meditation and stuff blocked off, and then my evening time blocked off. And then maybe like 1 day or 2 days a week, time with my kids, kind of blocked off. So that is me committing those time and those moments to those things, and then my whole business and everything else fits around that. Now, yes, there's always exceptions, and you can make changes and exceptions to the rules, but if you set your life up like that, then you get to do all the things that you love to do, and you're successful when you're happy. And take that happiness into your business. It's like this energy thing, right? You become that fountain of happiness. You bring that, ooze that. Like, like you've walked into a situation where everybody's all yay, and one person walks in like, oh, this is terrible. It brings down the energy of the whole entire room. And so I decided that I'm going to be the opposite of that. I want to be the guy that comes into any situation and lightens it up and lifts up the energy in that. And whatever happens from that. And so in doing these things and putting these into practice, like I've gotten to the place where I'm pretty much retired. Like, you see my life. I don't work. I don't do anything really.
I've seen your pants. You're pretty much retired. Yeah. You know, that's the way. Hey, but that's the way that you've intentionally designed your life.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Yep.
But at the same time, you like what you do. And so when it comes to motivation, right? A lot of times people say that their motivation is their family, is their kids. If you ask Kai Chambers, the motivation comes more within, wanting to live a good life. For me, I just want to see how far I can get in this life so I could look back and say, wow. But when it comes to you, what motivates you, Erik?
What's my why?
Very similar, but I see a distinction.
Yep, I do.
Between the two, but sure.
So my motivation.
Talk on it.
My motivation, I like peace, love, and joy. And fun, right? So if I can have fun, that's my thing. Like, ever since I was a kid, I always look for the easiest way to do something so I can get outside and play or go ride my bike or go do something fun. That was just my whole thing. So now I just made fun a priority. So fun's my priority. That's what I put most of my energy on. And I do that whether it's in a relationship with my wife, a relationship with my kids, relationship with my clients, mentors, whatever it is, we're going to have fun doing what we're doing. And the second that stops happening, then that's my cue to re-examine.
I'll lose a co-host.
Well, no, it's just my cue. Yeah. This is not fun anymore. But see, this is fun, right?
Yeah, it is.
And look at this. This is a classic example of of creating fun while doing well and while doing good. So this is fun to do. Yeah. We're helping people out.
And still spreading the love, spreading the positive vibes. All kinds of wins. I don't think there's three.
But these steps too. Especially in the very beginning. They seem not like steps. They seem like walls. They seem like 30-foot walls to get over. So they say it takes 20 days to make a habit of something, right? So that was what I started doing in the very beginning. Was I got this new calendar thing that I'm going to try, and I'm going to set time and specific times of the day to create new habits. So that's how I started with my meditation. It was alarms that I had set at first. Now that I don't have to be notified, it's a habit. I just get up, I know that's the thing, and this is the process that I'm going to do this morning. But in the very beginning, I had to put that on my calendar. So it was like, I'm going to meditate. Sometimes I even put the link to what meditation I'm going to do. But I was very specific with myself, and I booked up a lot of my daily time trying to create these habits on a regular basis, to where now I can block that time and I'll still do the thing in that time period without having to warn and whistle and, and
I heard that people that view time differently, not as strict, are much more effective, happy people that, like you were saying, time period. So if you said at some time during this time I'm going to do this meditation, but you didn't have to stop what you were doing to go do it. You're going to finish working with this client, then go and do that. So sometimes that comes off as, hey, you were 5 minutes late to something, but they were able to maximize their time that way. So fun is your motivator.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if it's not fun, it's not worth it. Why are we here?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And I've heard people talk about peace, love, and joy. And to me, that's great.
Yeah.
But what's the underlying? And
so I mean, could you also say kind of making memories and, that when you're laying on your deathbed, you don't have any of these physical things that you have. All you really have are your memories or regrets.
Yeah, but see, like it's not so much like I'm not trying to build up a memory bank. It's not something like, oh, I could and have this big. Because for me, to be honest with you, I have a terrible memory.
So
like,
it's a feeling that you're going after.
Like my wife this year was saying, remember 4th of July? So-and-so was like, we had someone show up at our house the other day that we hung out with all day on 4th of July that I didn't even.
Yeah.
It was because I'm a now. Now matters.
Yeah, but
the future's not guaranteed.
But your motivator,
the past isn't real.
Is the feeling you want to generate a good feeling for you now, and that comes with your fun, right?
Right.
So it's not a memory bank; it's maybe a feeling bank.
Well, it's just
that's deep. I mean, we got to get to this point at some point in the episode.
Yeah, but it's not so much. It's not a bank at all. If you look at it, I don't keep track of the fun I have. I don't. It's not like some memories. Yeah, stick with me.
It's some almost like it never happened.
But that's not the reason. It's now. Now is the only thing. When I got that concept that now is it, like I love my friend John. He says you're going nowhere. Now here. We're all going nowhere.
But if you hold on, guy, and I just want to challenge that for a little bit. If you do not plan ahead, you're not going to have the future that you want. And where you're at now, you came from somewhere. The knowledge in your head came from somewhere. That was then.
You can set intention without having to create a plan. I've never written a business plan. I've owned a number of businesses. They've done really well, but I've never sat down and written a business plan that's for any business that I've ever used. But I've set an intention for that business. I do, like if I have a client meeting, I'm going to prepare for the client meeting and I do things like that. I'm not saying I completely avoid everything and just go, but now matters. Now is it. So it's making a decision. If I'm not feeling well, if I'm feeling off, I'm not going to make any business decisions in that mood. I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm not going to, if I have a client coming up and I'm in a terrible mood, I'm going to call that client and say, hey, can we reschedule?
Okay.
And the reason I do that is because I know if Erik goes to that meeting in that thing, I'm going to destroy it.
That funk, yeah.
I'm going to destroy what I'm trying to create. And so for me, it's more important for me to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, go into a meditation, do something fun. Out. Usually what I can do to immediately get like charged up is I go to our little electric race kart track.
Yeah.
And I go do 8 laps over there.
And lose. But it doesn't matter if you lose.
I've never lost, man.
I know one time you lost.
When?
Me. You spun out. I went past you.
Oh, that's right. That's
all I'm saying. So as we're
about fastest lap there.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about like Mario Kart classes, you are like the Toadstool, and I'm like Bowser. I weigh like twice as much as you. But we don't got to get into all that. While we're wrapping up today, is there anything that we missed that you feel is important for young entrepreneurs and salesmen out there? Is there anything you'd like to speak of, such as your outreach? Is there something that you want to say to those new, struggling, unhappy realtors out there that need the motivation, that need to be put in the right direction?
So I put some resources on. I have a coaching business that I do as well. HappyErikG.com, Erik with a K. And I'll put those links here in the podcast too as well.
LivingThatCommissionLife.com.
Yeah,
check it out.
Check it out. We'll have a resources tab up there with all this information up there. But on the bottom of Happy Erik G, there's some links to Awaken Life Live, Awaken Your Destiny. There's a book, If I Die Before I Wake.
John England.
Yep. There's some cryptocurrency stuff on there too. All these things. But this group and those links down there are the exact steps and the exact processes. Like the Awaken Your Destiny Masterclass is amazing. It's a 2-hour course. It's a goal-setting workshop. And then it gives you a goal to work for. It chunks it down into 5 steps and then gives you the process to chunk those 5 down into 15 steps. So how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. So you can have these massive super goals chunked down into steps that you can do each day. I have an accountability. That was probably key for me. Was I created an accountability coach. I asked a friend of mine. We created a website that had 2 forms on there, the very first intake form and then the follow-up form. And it was just a series of questions. So it's up there. You can do it yourself. You can be your own accountability coach. I recommend having someone else, but it's a resource. It's on my website. And you go through, and once you've done the masterclass, you take your goals and you apply them into this accountability program. And that's what gives you the small steps to do every day. That's what starts to create your habits. That's what keeps you. And when you have someone to be accountable for.
Something I've learned from multiple guests is that coaches are worth it.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be some high. It could be your kid. Really, because the questions are on the webpage. You read the questions. You can do it yourself. But
I bet they would like to hold you accountable, wouldn't they?
But yeah, I mean, if you making a meeting with someone that's going to require you to be there, and you're having to tell that person you can't make it. That's what gives you that little extra motivation sometimes to make it to that.
Y'all, you heard it here. Get on the right track. Go get those resources. They're free to you. I'd like to thank my guest today, Erik Gerace, for letting me pick his brain on the one-on-one instead of us, talking to somebody else.
Awesome, brother. Great to be here, man.
Thanks a lot. Catch us next time on the Commission Mission. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Commission Mission. It is our mission to increase your commission. If you got any gold nuggets out of the episode today, make sure you don't miss any more. Click, like, subscribe, whatever that action is for the platform that you're watching this on. Make sure you don't miss any more good nuggets and help us help you.
Yeah, one of the things that new or struggling entrepreneurs struggle with is asking for the sale. Asking for what you need, and they're afraid of rejection. But I'll give you a sample of that exactly right now. Is if this helped you in any way, please share this with 3 friends of yours, 3 people that you think would benefit from what was discussed on these podcasts. And
friends in sales, anyone in your organization that can benefit from this needs to hear it. Thanks, everybody. Highland Finance, helping you prepare for life. The profit your business brings in should go to you, not accidents, injuries, and hurricanes. Do a policy review on your general liability and workers' comp today. Our proven track record helps our clients prepare for life. Call 850-359-5989. Highland Finance.